Blog Talk Radio.
Witches. My name is Raina Starr. I hope you're having a good Saturday. I'm having a rough Saturday. You know, every time I wake up, it's something new, different, and crazy. But anyway, welcome to the show, everyone. This show is not rated GPG. It's barely rated R, but it is rated R for content, language, and for me, your host, Raina Starr. All right. Desperate House Witches is brought to you by the one, the only, the incredible one herself, the amazing Dorothy Morrison. Check out www.wickedwitchstudios.com for all of your pagan witchy needs. And if you need all of that shipped overseas, check out theangrycauldron.com. They ship Dorothy Morrison's products overseas for you. I'm just going to launch in. I had a rough overnight. I'm sure a lot of folks did. We lost a brilliant actor last night to cancer, Chadwick Boseman. May he rise in power. Love him. He was a great actor. And, you know, if y'all keep him in your thoughts, please, that'd be much appreciated, along with all of the other names we continue to keep in our thoughts and prayers. All right, my guest today, I'm so excited. Oh, my God, I'm going to geek all over the place. Najah Lightfoot is with me for the hour. Are you there, Najah?
I am. I'm here. Good morning, Raina, and good morning to your audience. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm really excited.
I am too. Thank you for agreeing. I have to ask, did you have breakfast?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've already had my breakfast. Yeah, I'm coffeeed out, and I'm just on water and ice water right now.
Yeah, I have certain issues that make drinking coffee before a show a problem. In essence, you'd hear the bathroom echo, but that's another story altogether. So I have to say, it is not often I get to interview a multiple award-winning author, okay? The 2019 NYC Big Book Award for the book we're going to discuss, and if that wasn't enough, and it isn't apparently, the 2020 Cover Award from Llewellyn in the category of Wicca, Witchcraft, and Spirituality, I believe. Fabulous. Fabulous. Good Juju. Okay, so Good Juju came and fell into my hands, and I have to say, in these times of continuous change and strife and stress, it is so remarkable to get your hands on something, even as an older witch like I am, to have somebody say, you know what, everything doesn't have to be so complex. Let's just bring it down a notch, put down some ritual, ceremonial stuff, and just do some gentle ritual, blessing rituals. You know, you've made it easy. You've made it relaxing. And like I said, in these days, especially the last couple of weeks for me, I've been overstressed completely. And just to have this wonderful book that addresses the magic of your soul and taking care of yourself and the place around you is just so important. And I'm so appreciative that I've had this book in my hands and been able to read it. What led you to this amazing book?
Well, thank you. It means so much to me that, you know, someone of your caliber and practice and years with the craft and spirituality has been touched by my book. And I really like what you said about keeping it simple. You know, I'm a simple witch. I study, you know, higher
she
complex
said simple,
things.
not basic. Don't get it twisted. Okay, y'all?
That's
You hear me?
right. You know, after years of trying to do complicated things, and you know what really led me to this is I started teaching a class years and years ago, just to talk about basic things that you could do to have a daily practice. Because what I've learned over the years, it's the consistency of a daily practice that becomes the most powerful and brings you the most comfort, whatever that is. And, you know, like you said, we're all overstressed. You know, there's just so much going on every day. So I really wanted to share with people, like, that you can just get a lot out of being consistent and doing something over and over and over again that works for you to connect you with your higher power, your gods, your goddesses, your deities, however that works for you. And to give people the opportunity to, like, you know, dial it back. I mean, when I first started, you know, I was doing all these things and everything, and then it just got overwhelming sometimes, you know, and then you feel guilty because, you know, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Now you've got guilt, and I don't feel it should be that way, you know. You got to keep it real. You can't pick it up every day and load yourself up with your God from head to toe. You know, if you can do that once in a while, great. But, you know, I just really feel like in these overwhelming times, the best thing that we can do is just acknowledge, remember, and practice.
And I love that you said that because, you know, with so much going on, so many folks are out of work. So many writers have lost income because they haven't been able to go do events. So many folks are hurting so badly, and it's so hard to just stay focused. And, you know, when you have a practice that you are trying to be faithful to, and you worry every day about just paying the damn bills. Let's be real. Come on.
Right.
So the fact that, you know, you can, you know, it's not about the money. And a lot of people get caught in the trappings and the things, and you're like, this is not necessary. This doesn't have to be this way. It's not about, you know, having the right wand or the right candle necessarily. Sometimes just to bring it back to the person, the self, the spirit, and to refresh that is so important. And you address that really beautifully, and it doesn't beat you over the head about anything. That's part of what I love about this book, because it's like, you don't have to be, see, here's the thing. You don't have to be any one thing to appreciate this book. And while it may be magically bent, so to speak, or magically leaning is probably a better term, I wouldn't have a problem giving this book to someone who's not necessarily a magic user. I think the ability to bless the self in how you see fit, just using this as a guideline and blessing your space wherever your magical space is, I think the spark of life in everybody makes them magical. So, I mean, I wouldn't be concerned about giving this to someone who's not necessarily a witch or a Wiccan or, you know, voodoo or any of that. I think this book is for more people than you would first think, is my point.
Oh, that's great. Well, that really is my intent, you know, to reach as many people as possible. I think people are seeking, I know, you know, I'm a seeker all the time, and people need practical tools to touch with the magic, and also to make it accessible for people. You know, a lot of people are, you know, how do I do it? You know, what do I do? Is this okay? Is that okay? Is this enough? And I just really wanted to, you know, start under the umbrella of spirituality. You know, I do my practices religiously, but I am a spiritual person. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and it's funny because I consider myself, and people shit on me all the time. Excuse my French, but that's me.
Hey, no problem here. Yeah.
But I get beat on a lot for, well, you shouldn't use this word and you shouldn't use that word. And it's like, no, it's okay. It works for me. So the words are cool for me. I don't expect everybody to do what I do because my practice is my practice, their practice is their practice. But I consider myself an ultra-religious person because I am extremely faithful to the things I believe. It doesn't, the co-opting of certain words by the Judeo-Christian folks, I think, share the words. We're allowed to say certain things. Just because you're saying them doesn't mean they don't work for me too. And I find a lot of, that kind of religious separation a little bit annoying. But that's okay. That's just me because I'm old. I get that. Folks have been, let me tell you something. Folks have been trying to drag my happy ass into the 21st century for the longest time. I have 2 cell phones, 2 computers, a tablet. I have all kinds of crazy stuff. But I'm still, I'm just still simple, and I'm an older person. I'm trying to learn all the new things.
I'm with you. Yeah. I try to blend it all.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. I do. I'm old school, and I like it. That's all right,
yes. Yes, because back in my day, we had 5 writers, okay? 5 or maybe, all right, I'll be generous. We had 10 or less, okay? We had Patricia Crowther, we had Doreen Valiente, we had the Farrars, we had Gardner, we had Buckland, and we had Sybil Leek and a couple of other luminaries. That's but that's what we had. We had Crowley, okay, for those who were into that thing. It wasn't my thing, so you can tell, right? But, seriously, we didn't have all the writers and all the access, and we didn't have the interwebs, and we didn't have your cell phone where you can, I want to peek in 10 minutes, and somebody shows up in 5 and says, here you go,
We're pre-internet witches. That's what we are.
Thank you.
That's
exactly what it is. I'm
pre-net. I'm a pre-internet. Yeah, I'm a pre-net witch. Yeah, I remember going to the library and trying to get on the computer and look up stuff and and looking over my shoulder to make sure somebody wasn't staring at the screen.
Right.
What the hell is he looking at? Or secretly creeping around to the metaphysical section in the bookstore and going, do you have a book on, Yeah, it was hard. You had to creep around. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to pray that the person you're talking to doesn't know somebody who knows your mom. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, really.
I still get stuck sometimes, I still, it's funny, I still get tongue-tied sometimes in this day and age when people ask me about what I do, who I am, because you came from the time when you just didn't freely just say, oh, yeah, I'm a practicing witch, and I do this, that, and the other.
Right.
I am happy that we have come into a time where people are more open and there's hashtags and the net and you can discuss it, but, it's hard sometimes not to still have that caution, okay, well, I try to start
seriously.
and then okay, feel it out and well, actually this is what I do. Yeah.
I know that feeling because you have to understand, I come from 2, not 1, but 2 Pentecostal preacher parents, okay? So I had it especially weird because my mother, before she became Pentecostal, was actually a practicing witch. So it's
wow.
oh yeah, please, let me tell you what, my family, my crazy-ass family, my father became a Pentecost. My mother was, listen, honey, it was the 60s, y'all. Listen. And in the 60s, women were taught a certain thing. Am I right or am I wrong? Women were taught that you grow up and you get a man and you are a housewife and you have children. I mean, all that stuff. So my mother did that. My mother fell right in line with that because that's what it was at the time. And being older than you, which I am, I was trained
no, you're not.
Similarly.
I don't think so. I think I'm older than you.
No. I'm almost 60. I will be 60 in 1 year.
No, I am 60.
No, you're not.
Yes, you're
I'm arguing with the guests about her age. Okay, so you know what I'm... Well, first of all, you don't look it, so I'm already mad.
Oh my God, too funny.
Always get the good-looking guests. What can I say? I mean, no, you're beautiful. I thought you were like... I thought you had said you were 49, and I'm like, she looks good.
No,
you're
no. No, honey. I hit the magic show in May. And it and it was. Thank you.
Oh,
it's a significant number. I wish you well on your birthday. It's one to get yourself around. That's for sure. That is no joke.
I don't know. You know, everybody told me that 50 was going to be hard, and I'm like, 50 was a friggin' breeze. Are you kidding me? The older I get, the more fun I'm having because the more shit I get away with. I'm just saying. Well, I'm older.
Yeah,
who's going to stop me? You know, it's like, oh, you know what?
Right.
She's older now. She just, you know, she's a New Yorker. She says what she thinks. We've come to, like, accept that this is how Raina is. It's okay. We get it, you know. So I'm like, fair play to me. Oh, my gosh. Too funny. So I did have a couple of things in your book that I immediately related to. For example, you were talking about doing the morning pages from The Artist's Way. And I went, I remember The Artist's Way.
Yeah, Bill Cameron. Yeah.
Yes. Fantastic. Now you're talking old school. See, now we are addressing the older witches in the crowd today, and I think that needs to happen. The Artist's Way was this amazing book for people who just really wanted to write or express themselves. I'm not a writer. I don't have that kind of talent because to me writing is that's hard. I just couldn't. It's just not me. And I'm in awe of anybody who can write because I think it's one of the more magical skills. You know, and you mentioned doing a journal spell in your book, and I'm like, maybe that's why I didn't do that well with The Artist's Way.
Yeah, it does help if you're already a journal person, which I am. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really should have done that. I think maybe I will try. I might try to go back and try to do that again, which would be kind of, you know, starting another career at this age. I don't know about that. You know, the road ahead's a lot shorter for me than the road behind. So I'm not so much starting all over again.
Yeah, I do think, you know, I took to The Artist's Way because I journal pretty much every day, so.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And I think, you know, getting somebody into that habit, I think it's one of those things that when you start younger, it's easier than if you try to start older. Not that you can't start, it's just harder to incorporate because of all the things going on in life. You know what I mean? It's like there's just so much, especially now, but for a lot of folks, now is the time that they actually have. So if you have the wherewithal to actually, do that and start like journaling and start doing more things for yourself because you have the time. Listen, not everything has to be, doomsday because of what we're going through right now. I've seen a lot of people change and grow. I see a lot of the growth as being difficult. Have you experienced any of this in recent months for yourself?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just the pandemic. I mean, talking about changing and growing, being forced into changing and growing and adapting, pretty much against your will. The pandemic has just really brought, I was telling someone the other day, as students of the occult and the craft and everything, we love, those old stories of medieval times. Oh, I wonder how they got through the plague. Yeah. Oh, you like reading it in a book, but, now to, live in it? Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, I thought I was all this, but, man, I'd rather be reading it in a book. These were the dark times, and this is what we did, and this is how we had to adapt so we could survive. I mean, that's what it feels like to me. This is our, medieval time, and we've all been, tested. We're being, to see, are we going to – I was telling my husband this morning, bless all of us who make it to January 1, 2021, because this year's been tough. It's been really hard.
No. I'm telling you, and I wanted to talk to you about as being a writer and somebody who, because as a matter of fact, I was very much looking forward to meeting you at Mystic South this year, and that didn't get to happen. So, I mean, that must be really hard as somebody who is a professional writer, and teacher, to not be able to go and do these things in person, because, being old school like I am, it's like I'm still kind of used to being in a room or conference room and getting these great classes and, seeing the person in person and being able to walk up and say thank you so much for the class, and I've learned so much from you, and kind of fangirling on you in person is kind of what I was looking forward to, but I didn't get to do it. So, I'm hoping that I get to do it, but, has it been a horrible loss of income? Are you having any kind of stress as far as new things that you're writing? What's going on? What's happening for you personally in the writing world?
Well, yeah, I was super sad. My author schedule was just off the charts as far as traveling this year and meeting people and going to conferences and events out of state. And I was really looking forward to that. And then when, around May, everybody just started canceling because they had to.
Yeah.
We had to.
Sure.
So, just one conference after another fell off, one event after another fell off. And, when you write, as a writer, for me, I don't write, so I can show up at a conference and, stand up there and, be on a soapbox or anything like that. But when those opportunities come your way, because, people have responded to what I've written, it's such a blessing. And I'm truly grateful for that my book has been so well received. So, yes, I was really looking forward to my conference and event schedule this year, and every single one of them canceled, and I was depressed. I was really sad. Also, I live in Denver, Colorado, and so, we've got winter here that comes on. So, really Colorado is like 6 months of winter. So, when spring comes around, we're like, yeah, it's springtime. And so that was supposed to be the start of the, the conference schedule and everything. And then, sorry, you can't leave and go out of your house. So, yeah, it's been funny a lot of people say, oh, you must just be just writing away during this time. And I'm like, no.
Right.
I like to meet people and talk to people and the inspiration. And
sure.
I'm a hugger. I like to give hugs. So, no
Me
hugs,
too.
no in person.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's been like, okay, I guess I'll just have to do the best I can. And, when I feel it, I'll sit down and write, and try to get things on the page. And if I don't feel it so much one day, then I just don't.
Yeah, I can't imagine, wow, because for me, somebody who writes is putting their soul on paper. And, when you have something so unexpected like this, it just must rattle you to your core, because where you thought one moment, because this was kind of sudden. When you're talking about something that starts in less than a few months, really, and just overtakes everything, that's a pretty severe shock to the system, which is another reason why Good Juju is one of the best books to get, period. So get it, because it's just, even if you're a real, okay, can I just do this commercial really quickly for a second? Thank you. So the thing about Good Juju is, even though you've been a practicing spiritual person in general, whatever your path is, this book is so applicable, because it is just a very straightforward, here are some, because I'm going to be honest with you, when I go to work and come home at night, the days are so long, my brain is so fried, I've got to make dinner, I got shit to do for the show, I got other shit I got to do, because life goes on no matter what. Even when everything falls apart, you still have to buy onions for the meatloaf. You know what I'm saying? You still got to do all the...
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so this book, all you have to do is pick it up, open it up, do a self-blessing. It's right there. It's so simple. Just do it. It'll bring you right back to focus, because I will tell you, commercial over for now. Thank you. But what I was saying was, just as a simple reminder when things are just falling apart, to do the small things, to look after your practice, because a lot of us are just not feeling it right now. We're just not feeling it. We're scared about what's going on in the streets. The streets are scary. People are being killed for apparently no reason again. And folks, remember, this isn't the first time this is happening. This happened throughout history of people being killed for no reason. You know what I'm talking about. I know history. Y'all know history. Thank you. This isn't a first. This may look worse, and the reason why it looks worse is because now they're not afraid to let us know who they are, okay? So remember those names, and remember those murderers, because I'm telling you, there's nothing new going on here except that we're all having access to the information now. And I just want folks to remember that. But anyway, this book, when I can't think, I just open it up and it helps me immediately and simply. And that's been great, because I've had a lot of conversations with other spiritual folks who are like, it's just really hard to focus. It's just really hard.
Yeah.
Just trying to, wondering where your schedule is going to be. Forget this year. This year is shot. What about next year? So, everybody is holding their breath in a real sense. Will there be festivals next year? Will there be, will there be folks going to bookstores and doing signings in person? I'm hearing in some states that, they're trying to do it responsibly, but people are still very frightened. And I can't say as I blame them. And, one of the things I loved this year that I got to do was I got to see you doing the Llewellyn, which I thought was brilliant. Are you doing? And I saw you just did for Arapahoe Library. You taught a class online.
I did.
Yeah, and I think that's so amazingly cool. Are you going to do any more of that kind of online teaching this year?
I hope so. I hope there's going to be some opportunities coming to do some more online things. I will tell you, I'm right now in the throes of finishing book 2 in the Good Juju series. So
Nice.
I'm pacing myself with that. I'm under contract and on deadline to submit the manuscript for book 2, which I am super excited about. So I hope so. I hope there'll be some other online opportunities, and maybe once I get past finishing the manuscript for book 2, I'll be able to maybe put some things up myself. I've been thinking about doing that as well. So I'm going to see, how everything washes out after I finish submitting the manuscript.
So can I get a little bit of more information on the follow-up book? Like, how do you follow up this book? What's your encore for that?
Oh, yeah. Well, so, Good Juju, my first book, I've been writing for Llewellyn since 2013. And so I love, writing spells, writing for The Witch's Companion, The Magical Almanac, the date. I'm actually finishing an article right now for 2022 for the 2022 Witch's Companion. And,
wow.
Cool. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. Like when we write for the almanacs, we write basically a year in advance of when the book is published. So talk about a magical mindset. So book 2 in the Juju, Good Juju series is going to be going deeper and working on powerful Juju to help people when shit gets hard, when it gets really hard.
Yep.
And I'm writing about 13 powerful feminine allies to help us and call upon when stuff gets real, when things get hard. So basically what I'm doing is saying, okay, I've given you the foundation for your magical spiritual practice in Good Juju. Yep. Now I'm going to give you some tools, some rites and rituals when the hard stuff of life comes down on us, because it will happen. It happens to us all. And I'm really excited to be, writing about the divine feminine, about women, real, contemporary, mythological, that can lend us some aid, lend us their powerful juju.
So I have to ask you, when you were working on Good Juju, did you realize how it was going to be needed? Did you have some kind of foresight?
I always write from the standpoint of if I can just touch one person, if I can just help one person and, bring a positive change into their life, I will consider that I've done a good job. So I've been blown away by how well it's been received, and I try to write from that standpoint of inclusivity for everybody, just with life issues that all of us experience one way or another, death, grief, trauma, loss, or the things that we need, success, money, shelter, home, comfort, and try to stay in those general categories. So I was hoping that it would touch people. But I did not foresee winning awards or anything like that. I just put my heart and soul on the page because I am very serious about my writing and being authentic, and I love to write. So I just wanted to hopefully touch people and give them some guides, some tools, some help, and that's what I'm working in on the second book. I'm very excited about it.
That's awesome. I mean, and of course you're aware that other people write books about how to do such and such and such and such, but the fact that you've won awards for it and it certainly touched me, and I love it. I mean, not that I'm anybody, but seriously, I read a lot of books. I talk to a lot of folks. I'm lucky enough to get a lot of books, and this book has become like my daily thing. Like, I just go to it because my days have been so heavily stressful, especially the last 3 weeks now. I just rely on it so much, and your love of writing really comes through. But it's not just your love of writing that comes through. That's not the only thing I get when I read the book. What I get is I care about you and what you're doing, okay? So let's not make this any harder than it has to be. Here's some things to help you get through the day because you need this. And that's what I get, too. Aside from your love of writing, is the fact that you care about the people who are reading it.
Oh, I do. I do care about the people who are reading it. I do. I mean, we struggle. All of us struggle, and especially, too, when you're trying to go down the magical path, trying to be magical and claim your magic and do practices. It's hard. It's difficult, and it can be lonely and scary, and that was one of the, intentions I had for my book is like, I don't want it to be scary. I want it to be accessible. I want this book to be something people could leave out on their coffee table. I mean, we all have those books where, okay, let's put this in this cabinet over here. So when someone comes over, okay, yes, and love those books. However, I wanted my book to be one that people could just leave out and go, oh, that's such a nice cover, and, what's that all about? That was my intent.
It's very, and I have to say, if folks, if you haven't seen it, it's really beautifully done. The cover art is gorgeous. The cover photo, I should say, is gorgeous. And it is very inviting, and when you start to read it, it's very welcoming. And I was like reading, is hoodoo voodoo, and it's like, no, it's just a mess up of the word. Let's calm down, because I think people get intimidated. I think not really do. I think some folks get intimidated by the term voodoo, and because Hollywood jacks shit up. Can we just say it? They jack it up.
Yeah.
It'd be something it's not, like they have done to witches our whole lives, or as long as witches have existed, which is forever. So it's just more jacked up shit. But it is a special path. I mean, it is a unique and special path. My thought now, when I was being taught or told about voodoo, because I wasn't taught voodoo. I don't know very much about it. I'm lucky enough to have folks like you to explain it to me. But my understanding was that, you have to really have somebody willing to teach you. You have to be worthy of it, is how I always interpreted it. Is that correct? It's like something that, like a family member or someone very close to you would bring you in if your intentions were sincere?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's I tell people, voodoo is a religion, and hoodoo is folk magic, and voodoo is a blend of a lot of different practices, but it is rooted in African American spirituality and practices. And voodoo is a religion. And it's just like, if I try to explain it in terms like, if you were, seeking a religious path in the Judeo-Christian world, and you started going to church, and you were sitting there and you wanted, then you start talking to the pastor, and then you decide you're going to get baptized, and, you're going to go along and take those vows and do those things. It's the same thing. It's an initiatory religious practice, and it's something I think people are called to, and it took me a long time to find my way. It wasn't something that just like, let's just go do this today. No, it's a commitment. It's just like everything else. You should be serious about it. You should learn about it, and then, if possible, if it works out for you, you should probably see if you can attend some ceremony somewhere. I mean, there are reasons that things are initiatory practices. And
sure.
yes, it is that. It is that. And I spent a lot of time because I have come into my path on my own. So, but I do feel that, the universe opened up to me because as I kept going, I was sincere and honest and, don't come to things lightly. So, yes, that's what I did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I have to say, it's the big difference between folks like us and the typical Judeo-Christian folks, because having been raised by pastors like I was, they will drag your ass kicking and screaming to something that you simply don't believe in, just to increase their numbers. And this is one of my biggest problems with the Judeo-Christian belief system. It's like, we're telling you you're going to believe this whether or not you believe this. And if you don't believe it, won't beat your ass until you believe it. I mean, that's how I was raised. You know what I mean? Like, my father was really a bit of an asshole, just saying. So I feel that all religion and walks of faith should be discovered or encouraged by the person as a seeker, as opposed to having them hit over the head with any kind of path. Don't you think folks should be allowed to reach for their own path that way?
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's part of the journey, is seeking what works for you and how it works for you. I mean, I've had my ups and downs on the path of being a seeker. And sometimes I fall out with things, or maybe I'll do things for a while, and then, 2 or 3 years later, I'm like, that's not getting it right now. So, and I think that's too what's going on now for a lot of people. Things that they've been practicing or doing for a long time, it's just not working for them. And that's okay. That's all right, and people grow up with things in their childhood, just like you said, a lot of people come up with one way or one path, and then as they become adults and come into their own lives, they make their own decisions, and that's all fine. That's, I think that's great. You got to do what works for you.
Exactly, and I just think, I think that people need to get to a place where they're not trying to control. Listen, we all love our kids and whatnot, but even kids have a right to say, this works for me, this doesn't work for me, and I just think this is why I didn't raise my children with any kind of religion. It's like they knew what mom was, but they also knew they didn't have to follow it, It's not like I was dragged. Well, actually, I lie. Sorry, my children, my hang on, I did lie. My older child, when he was first born, was a part of every circle every week when I was in a group. But I didn't initiate him. I told him it was his choice. I mean, he was literally a baby. He had no choice. And we used to pass him around in circle and hug him because, there's nothing like fresh baby. No, I'm kidding. But, I mean, we would all tend to him, during circle, like a collective of parents would do, you know what I mean? It does take a village. Yeah. And I mean, but my kids are doing their own thing. I mean, I'm married to a Buddhist, and I've got one son who's kind of half in the craft and half going like, let me read that book too. I haven't given him yours yet because it's Mommy's book. This is Mommy's book. You want your own copy? You go get a copy. This is Mommy's book. So, he's dealing with that. But he's got, like he's stepping his toe in. The older one is just like this crazy mathematician dude who, everything is science-based. I'm like, okay, do you, but I'm over here doing my thing, so we're cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't judge. I don't think people are going to hell because I don't believe hell exists,
Yeah.
It's so weird.
My kids are the same way. My son is so funny. You say, "Oh yeah, there's mom out in the backyard." looking through the window, But, it's just, it's around, and if they felt like they wanted to be part of it, or it still, like, trips me up when they'll say something, magical, and I'll be like, oh, so you were paying attention, oh, yeah, Mom. I mean, you got all this stuff all around the house, and you're in the backyard at 4 o'clock in the morning. As a teenager, they look out the window, and there I am out in the dark in the yard. Oh, that's just Mom doing her thing. But, my kids are grown, too, and it does touch my heart when, I'll just randomly talk, be speaking about something magical, and they chime in, and I'm just like, oh, wow. Because I think there's room at the table for everybody, and you got to be able to find your own way with things. That's part of the gift of allowing people to explore and see what works for them. And I felt that way, too, about my kids. I'm here, I'm doing it. You want to see it, you want to ask me questions, you want to be part of it or not, or go hang out with your friends, that's fine. This is probably normal for every.
Probably. And what's funny to me is, like, when, like, one of my kids' friends will, like, quietly friend me, like, shh, don't tell them I'm asking you these questions, okay? And I'm like, no problem. It's on the QT. I got you, no worries. So it's really funny because, like, I'll never forget, I was making moon water. I was going out and putting out my jars to collect moon water for some spells and stuff. And, I came tromping through the house, and my feet were all muddy because I was doing it barefoot. And the kids were like, oh, my God, Mom, what happened? And my husband's like, oh, your mother's just doing magic shit. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. Try to give away, all right, I'm going to be cleansing the house. So when you wake up, if you happen to get up around 3 or 4, you see me wandering around my bare feet with a candle, it's okay. Well, okay, Mom. All right. Just don't say anything. Don't speak to me because I can't answer you. Okay, so I'm just telling you now. You see me with my head all wrapped up and carrying my cauldron and my waters. Okay, just don't talk to me. You just because I can't talk to you. So okay, all right, Mom.
Just ignore the woman that you recognize as your mother walking through the house chanting. Just shh.
I've got my mop, with my cleansing waters and my house wash, and it's just me, and then it's great because then they just get used to it. They're like, oh, okay, all right, okay.
Oh yeah. Well, my son now asks me, okay, which direction do I sweep the floor in? I mean, it's hilarious. He's 28 years old, and ever since both of my boys, I have a 28-year-old and a 30-year-old, and ever since they were little, before they would leave the house, I would touch their forehead and I would say, may the gods protect you. And that never, I do it to this day when I see them. Like, I live with my younger son, and it's like, and now he blesses me back. Check this out. He puts his forehead to my forehead, and I say, gods protect you. And he says, Apollo and Loki guide you. And I'm like, you know who you're asking to guide your mother, don't you? I'm like, Loki's a trickster. He's like, Mom, that's all about you.
Oh, that's really great.
Every time, every day, sometimes twice a day. If one of us is coming or going, there's a blessing issued before you walk out the door of this house, no matter what.
That's really nice. That's really nice.
It's a crazy life. Back in the day, we didn't talk about witchcraft out loud, and, children weren't supposed to know about that kind of thing, and now it's totally the opposite, and I live in the South, and they know about my ass, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So, Najah, I did it again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so damn
okay. Oh, no worries.
sorry. But anyway, so what is the next writing we're going to see from you? I know you're getting ready to submit the second book in the Good Juju, but so what are we going to see next from you, though?
Well, that. Hopefully,
okay.
you know.
I'm sorry. I thought you had something else coming out. Were you on the Almanac this coming year, or are there any other writings you're doing?
Oh, I see. Well, let's see. Okay, so I am in the 2021 Witches Spell a Day Almanac. I love writing for the Spell a Day, and that's already out. And what I'm going to do starting in January, I believe my first spell comes up on January 7th. I'm going to be reading the spells live and talking about what inspired me to write those spells. So that's what I'm going to be working on, sharing my own spells that I've written and giving a little backstory as to how I wrote that. So I'm very excited about that. So that'll be coming out. And then, like I said, I'm writing for 2022. So that'll come out fairly well. And then hopefully the second book. Publishing, getting your book published after it goes through all of the editing and revising and all the stuff that goes on with the publisher, that takes a while. So, but hopefully that will be well received, and I'm getting excited about that. I'm looking forward to discussing that book with people, and hopefully that will help people as well.
I have no doubt that it will. I'm so excited about the next book, but that negates my complete next question, because I was going to ask you about how you write, what your process is for the Spell a Day, but you're going to be giving a talk on that. So, never mind. I'm going to shut my mouth about that now.
No, that's
we don't
okay. It's great. No, I mean, I'm just, I don't mind answering that. It's really great. You just, I go in and, we're given certain dates that we write for and look at them on the calendar and get a feel for where they are in the year. And basically, too, I try to write things that are general, that, that people can do and look at the seasons and where the moon is and what's going on astrologically. Not that I know anything about astrology. I wish I did. I don't understand it at all.
I don't either.
Astrology, I don't get it. That's just not my gift, although I try to pay attention to it, and so I do all those things, and I also look out and see what's going on events on, just your regular calendar day or events in the world that fall on a calendar generally, so that people all over the world, in the northern and southern hemisphere will be able to use the spell.
Got it. Okay, so we are down to like 6 minutes. So in this time, I also want to say you can find more about Najah at www.craftandconjure.com and her author page, and her book is amazing and her writing is amazing, and I'm ecstatic that you spent some time with me today, but I do want to ask you if you have any predictions about the election.
Oh, in 6 minutes? Well, no, I don't have any predictions.
Okay.
I thought about that this morning. I wish, somebody could have told us, but I just, encourage people to vote. Because, you got to keep it real. That's really the only thing that matters. That's the only tangible thing that can change the world is to get out and vote. I plan to vote.
We need to make it. Oh, me too. I go early. As a matter of fact, my birthday's in October, so I am probably going to vote before or on my actual birthday as my gift to myself, because too many people had to. Yeah, I mean, too many people had to die for me to be able to vote, so I'm going to honor that. And I think folks need to remember that that wasn't just written in that everybody could vote. And, you know, we've lost a lot of icons, and I think we need to honor their memory. No matter who you are, you need to honor the memory of people who went before us. And, you know, we've been given an awesome power as individuals in America to be able to cast a vote, and I'm particularly political, but that's for another show next week.
Yeah, I feel you. You know, you have to get out and vote. That's the only thing that really matters is your vote. And so many people have, like you said, gone before us, given their lives, and there's so much conflict and turmoil going on. And what I want is I just don't want people to get complacent. You know, I don't want people to get complacent and think that, you know, they don't have to vote because somebody else will. That's not the answer. No, you have to vote.
Yeah, I mean, people used that last time, and that's part of the reason we got where we are. And that's, you know, the only way to regain any kind of American democracy, we have to save the republic now from the game show host. So, you know, let's all do everything we can. Sorry, you know how I lean. If you're listening to this, if you've listened to this show more than once, you know you're talking to a liberal. But anyway, no.
Yeah, and if anybody follows me on social media, they know how I lean. So I don't have to spell it out. It's pretty clear.
Exactly. I mean, you know, my mouth, this is my platform, my mouth, my neck on the line. It's all gravy. But the fact is that if you want to save democracy, because it is still retrievable, let's get out there and do it. Exercise your right to vote for whomever you're going to vote for. Just don't sit home. Sitting home is really the worst thing and the biggest insult to your ancestors, in my opinion, no matter who you are. You know, it's a responsibility. It's an awesome right. Not everyone gets to make their voices heard. So let's do everything we can to honor that. But Najah, this has been an awesome hour. I think you're amazing. I hope I can coach you. I'm so glad. I'm going to contact you as soon as the show is over, which should be like in the next minute and a half. And hopefully you will be willing to come and spend another hour with me sometime soon.
Yes, I would love to. Thank you again, and thank you to everyone listening to your show. It's been an honor, and I just had a wonderful morning with you, Raina. And thank you again so much for having me on.
You're a delight. Thank you so much. Everyone, again, the book is Good Juju. Najah Lightfoot, amazing author, amazing person. Love it. Had a great hour. Thank you again. All right, everybody, we are going to wrap it up. I will be back next Thursday with the 4:15. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and we will see you soon. Blessings to all of you. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.